Finally, towards the end of the case interview, the interviewer might be asking you to conclude the case, saying something like, "Why don't you conclude this case?" And you know what? There are 4 different ways of how you can end the case, especially if it's a McKinsey case. What I mean by this, if it's interviewer-led case. In the first option, the analysis has happened, but no conclusion is possible because you ran out of time, and the interviewer says, "Thank you very much. The case is now over. And do you have any questions for me before we leave?" This actually means that you run out of time, that your performance was probably not that very good, which will result, unfortunately, in a rejection. But the other thing that the interviewer still might be willing to hear to your recommendations, and he or she might be asking you other 3 types of questions, like, can you maybe summarize the case? Or can you conclude? Or can you give a recommendation? Which basically means that you are now prompted to summarize your findings and provide a recommendation. I want to give you a McKinsey 4-step method and approach how to do this final recommendation in McKinsey interviewer-led cases. Number 1 are the conditions. Number 2, assertion. Number 3, why. And number 4 are next steps. Number 1, conditions. Please cover that analysis that you could complete. The basis in that case was the market sizing and a high-level pricing discussion that we could have done together with you jointly. Then the assertion, then explain the why, and then explain the next steps. In that terms, what kind of analysis we couldn't have done so far, but what we should do to further solidify the conclusion or to increase the confidence in the conclusion. We can suggest to do the quantification of the price point, for example, and identification of how much it will cost us to make this pill. Bear in mind one thing. Despite not finishing the case, deliver the conclusion in a recommendation format. Do not include anything that has not been discussed in the case. One more time. Discuss the conditions based on the market sizing and a high-level pricing discussion that we could do so far. Then assertion or recommendation. We suggest to go into the Chinese market because of these and these reasons. So explain why. And then tell what could be the next steps, like to further solidify the conclusion or to increase the confidence in the conclusion. We suggest that we do quantification of the price point and identification of how much it will cost us to make this bill. This was the variant for McKinsey. If it is another very typical candidate-led case, then you could still do the following. I would still recommend you to ask the interviewer to take a moment of time to structure your thoughts and then summarize all the outcomes and ask for a minute to prepare for the final recommendation for the case. Make the recommendation that should consist of the following components. Just restate the case question and objectives. Formulate a brief recommendation for each objective, supported by a few facts that you figure out during your case. Mention some potential risks, outline the next steps, then make a pose and ask the interviewer a phrase. Do you have any questions? And then stop. Because now the ball is on the court of the interviewer. You have ended up your recommendation. It's very clear. It's very good. And you can have another way of discussion. And it's also client-friendly communication. So tell me under the comments to this video or as a direct feedback to Consulting Masters, how do you like this video? How did you like the whole course? And how did you like especially the case part videos? Was it helpful for you? Was it exciting? What kind of insights do you have? Or what kind of questions do you still have? What is still unclear to you? I will be more than happy to share and answer all your comments. Thanks for watching and see you in the next chapter. Take care.